I say to the African presidents, do not take their medications. I say to those of us in America, we need to call a meeting of our skilled virologists, epidemiologists, students of biology and chemistry. And we need to look at not only what they give us, we need to give ourselves something better. So my teacher told me, don't speak for some, speak for the whole. And now I'm speaking for Black America, for Hispanic America, for the Native American, and for those who are desirous of life. They're making money now, plotting to give 7,500,000,000 people a vaccination. Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates and Melinda, you want to depopulate the earth. What the hell gives you that right? Who are you to sit down with your billions and talk about who can live and who should die? That's why your world is coming to an end quickly, because you have sentenced billions to death, but God is now sentencing you to the death that you are sentencing to others.
Man, that is a wonderful introduction to today. Man, we're on day 4 of this fast. Everybody out there in fast land with me, how you feeling? I hope you're feeling good. I actually feel really good. I feel really, really good. And today I've been able to adjust to the weather a little bit more. But I feel really good. And so, yeah, that's me in the background. But nevertheless, our guest for tonight, man, my big brother, beautiful spirit. I love talking to him. Just our communication and our chemistry is so right. We both been asked by previous viewers if we would do something together a little bit more continuously, and he and I have talked. We agreed. We're both working on separate projects, but nevertheless, I got some news recently, and I shared it with my brother, and he was as excited about it as I was. So we just that much closer, to getting together, and because we do know that. As we taught, the kitchen is the medicine cabinet. And so who better to prescribe medicine for you than a doctor? And the master of doctors, who was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for us. But tonight, our special guest, Dr. Akili Muhammad of the Ultimate Wellness Program, will be joining us soon. And in the event, he did reach out to me earlier. His video coverage may not be the best, but nevertheless, we can bring him in through audio and reach our brothers. So I'm going to keep checking to make sure to see if he'll be coming on through video. If not, don't worry, we'll get him on. But tonight, man, we asked a question really simply, that if science agrees with Farrakhan, then why doesn't his opposers want you to listen to him? And what do we mean by that, about science agreeing with Farrakhan? Well, Farrakhan isn't saying anything other than what his teacher, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, has taught him. And so, even though you hear me saying Farrakhan, Farrakhan, in my heart, I know it's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And some will even go as far as to say the most honorable Louis Farrakhan. While I'm on this point, as I love the spirit of my big brother Jamil, student minister Jamil Muhammad. I see you, Doc. And pardon me. Big brother Jamil Muhammad, I love him dearly. Consistently the same. And there's no guesswork with him. He's going to always be your brother. And so, but one of the things I love about brothers, he corrects those of us who mispronounce Brother Farrakhan's name. It is not. It's not Farrakhan. Even though you hear some of us say that. I see you, Doc, and
Yes,
you are on. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal.
I'm trying to switch over to my computer, my bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not a problem at all. And so, in any case, I say that because I want us to get it right. And why do I want us to get it right? For a number of reasons. For one, he deserves it. You don't mispronounce somebody's name on purpose. And, when you do that, if you're doing it incorrectly, then you're doing it out of disrespect. And I'm not talking to those of us who love him, but I am talking about those who intentionally mispronounce his name, and you'll hear for years. And it's mostly, and I have to say this, mostly Caucasian people. I don't believe I've ever heard any black person typically call him Farrakhan. And we do know it is Farrakhan. So my point in saying that is now you know that. If you didn't know it, you do know it. And to get it right, just simply out of respect for the work that he's done. Scripture tells us that a good name is better than gold. And a good name is not only a righteous name, meaning a name in the language of the righteous, but also a good name in terms of your work. So you leave behind good work and your name is good. And this man certainly has work that, it's immeasurable good. We don't have the right tool to measure the amount of work that our brother has done on our behalf to say how good it is or how good it isn't. We're not capable of that. Some of us will even use the terminology and will say, well, only God can judge me. Well, if you believe that, then keep negativity out of your mouth when his name is in a sentence. If only God can judge you, then who are you to say that you can judge him? And so if you really believe that, then stop verbally chastising your brother who's put his life on the line to save you, even though you don't believe that he's trying to save your life. But no one is after you to take your life as an individual for the words that he speaks. But they're after him for the words he speaks. And one of the things that he does is he uncovers Satan. And as we talked about 3 days ago, he has taught us that Satan is not necessarily devil, that Satan makes them. And devils do the work of Satan. And Satan means a spreader of evil. And how does Satan spread evil? Satan uses devils, okay? So when we are talking about Satan, let's make sure that we understand that we are talking about the grand opposer to God himself. Some of our family will refer to the grand architect of the universe. Well, that one that is all and everything and is the author of truth has a nemesis. And we don't just say a nemesis, we say an arch nemesis. And that one who we call God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, we often say that his workers are angels. We don't call the angels God, we call the angels angels. And we'll even say whatever we believe their name is. We may say that is the angel Gabriel, the angel Jabriel. We may say that is the angel Michael or the angel Michael. But we have a name. for them, and we don't call the angels God. So when we are referring to devils, let's make sure that we understand there are devils who work for Satan. But what Satan does not come after you for unmasking devils. Satan comes after you for unmasking Satan. And so nobody else right now today in this world is uncovering and unmasking Satan like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in that, Satan uses to make mischief. He says, go out and tell the people, use your newspaper, your media outlet, call them anti-Semitic. Hey, you over there, you use yours, call them anti-gay, anti-lesbian. Hey, you over there, use your communications and call them a misogynist. Now they're even going as far as to say that advised us not to trust a group of people and an organization who has hundreds of years of killing us through medicine and injection. He's telling us not to trust them, not to trust their vaccines, not to take them. And so science today, and our brother today will go into more about that, but science today has shown us that Farrakhan is right. Those, some of those vaccinations, some of those medications, and they know this already. They tell you on the commercials before you take them. They run it by you at the end real fast because they know people don't listen. No? So they run it by you real fast. And they'll tell you that if you take this pill or this injection, that it might make you want to kill yourself. That it might, I mean, that's a hell of a drug. You know, it's like, damn, cocaine is a hell of a drug. No, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who was addicted to cocaine in powder or crack rock form that decided, man, I just want to kill myself. No, they wanted to go back for more. And to say that that's a hell of a drug, hell, man, those are hell of a drugs that make you want to kill yourself. Now, these are supposed to be medications that are helping you with an illness, that are helping you with an ailment. I cannot negate and not go back right to this book all over again. How to Eat to Live. Go to store.finalcall and order these books. There are two. There's book 1 and book 2. How to Eat to Live. All right. And I'm going to read what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and then we're going to go into introducing our brother, something you already knowing, but we're going to go into letting him introduce himself. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, fasting is a greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or 1 billion bottles. All of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or 1 billion bottles. Now, if you have medication and that medication extends your life and it's helping to correct an illness, I'm not telling you don't take that. For one, I'm not a doctor, so I don't even get involved in that. But what I can do is turn you on to what I've been turned to. And that is this. And so our How to Eat to Live, our Cooking to Live. My brother James Raymond in Chicago, I love you, brother. He's doing it all to live with his workout videos, his meal planning, and meal prep. We want to live. Dr. Akili Muhammad of the Ultimate Wellness Center, not just getting well, not just getting well soon, but the Ultimate Wellness Center. Brother, welcome back. Thank you again. It was no hesitation, and I got to say to everybody that I reached out to, when I decided that Allah put this on my heart, my spirit, I was going to do this, the very first person that came to mind was Dr. Akili. Word of God to Allah. He was the first person that came to mind. I got to call my brother and ask him, do he want to do this with me? Because my spirit is always
Automatic. That's
better,
right.
brother. It's always better, after I talk to you
Yes,
every time. So, brother, welcome,
yes,
man.
sir.
Give the people, give them your spiel.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, brother, thank you. And I really, you and I always talk about how we connect so much every time we talk, every time we interact. It's just a beautiful brotherhood, brothers and sisters. And when Allah brings you with another person, it's very obvious that it was God that did it and not us, because we make a lot of mistakes, but Allah, of course, never makes one. So in the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness Muhammad is his messenger. I love to greet all the believers in the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. I am, yes, sir. I'm extremely blessed and feel honored to be on your show, brother, because it was just, I think, my last show on Tuesday where I said that each of our platforms, no matter what aspect of life we're in, we have to use our platforms to defend our minister.
That's right.
Because, we can go and we can read the story of Noah, we can read the story of Moses, Jesus, Lot, um, Ad, Talmud in the Quran. And every single one of these stories, the people were laughing, made mockery of the people that God chose. And I would be remiss from this point forward. Anytime I speak, I will always say that if you don't put things in the proper context, you're going to be in trouble in these days. So saying Dr. Akili is the leading mind in this time that we're going through is absolutely the wrong ideology. The right way to put this thing in proper context is to listen to the minister's criterion or any other subject matter that you would wish to learn something about. You got to go check with the minister first, learn where he's coming from, and then each person can be put in a proper context through that lens. And I have to say that because everything that I offer people as advice from 25 years of experience was put in the proper context on July 4th. And so I will continue to say that if I never hear from him again, if we never hear from him again, that put me in the proper context. And so just to make my introduction short, I was trained like every other physician that you all know in a hospital, urgent care center, or wherever you go to see doctors. I went to Prairie View A&M University in near Houston, Texas. I went to Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, then went back to Houston in the medical center for my training. And after 25 years of experience, I am here to tell you that there's no book that I read, no book that I've ever experienced in the first 30 to 35 pages that talks about healing chronic medical problems, solving diabetes without medication. And as my brother just finished mentioning, fasting is the cure to 90% of our ills. Those are the words that's in the book that he just placed in front of you all in How to Eat to Live. And as a practicing physician after 7 years, a man who had extreme confidence in his skills and his abilities, learning in what's considered the best medical center on the planet Earth. And I was on my way to leaving medicine because I was not fulfilled. And so I don't have any arguments with people. I don't get into any back and forth with people on what they think about How to Eat to Live. I have presented to the world on my show, The Ultimate Wellness Group, people that have healed from programs that are based in How to Eat to Live. And so there's never be a chance for me to backstep after seeing what I've seen. I will always hold How to Eat to Live in the highest esteem, because as a man that's so-called educated in this country, in this world, with this educational system of this world, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live, Part 1 and Part 2, changed everything, put me on a different stratosphere. And I will never see a medical problem presented to me. Somebody hands that to me on a plate that I don't think How to Eat to Live will help improve. And just as a quick caveat, I'm in North Carolina right now because my wife's uncle made his transition. And I was literally watching a little girl at the wake, and I was watching the way she walked, and I could tell that it wasn't normal. And so I asked my wife, I said, whose child is that? Which family member of yours is that child? And she introduced me, and I spoke to the mother and the grandmother, and they had no hope until the conversation I just finished having with them just 30 minutes ago. And I said, if you all trust me, let me look at her medical records. Let me put a program together and let's see what happens. She's 3 years old, and they've already pretty much chalked her off. I'm talking about the doctors have chalked her off to just a little girl that's going to have to take medications for the rest of her life or go through these crazy procedures and, maybe potentially surgeries. And I told him, I said, let's give God and what he already deposited in her body. Let's give that a chance. Let's see what happens. At 3 years old, when she's 6, she may be completely different. She may have solved all those problems just because you have done some different things. And of course, the first question I asked her mother was, how did you eat? How were you taking care of yourself when you were pregnant with her? And she said, horribly. And I said, let's get busy. So I said it was going to be a short introduction. I prayed that was short, my brother, but thank you again. And whatever you need me for, let's get busy, black man.
Yes, sir. No, brother, I think it's the perfect introduction because not only does it speak to your training and your education, but also speaks to your spirit. Spirit is something not taught on the curriculum in school. That comes directly from God himself. And when it comes to the type of love that we have, love oftentimes, we say it's a feeling, but the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said love is duty. And so in having a duty, when you say I love my people, then that means you have a duty to your people or you desire to be dutiful to your people. And it's hard, to sit back and watch our people suffer, especially in an aspect of their life which you feel you have submitted or committed to some study to, where you can offer something to help. And it's hard to not do anything, about that. But this world is set up so that we don't have that freedom. One thing that we were never allowed it was never desired for Black people here in America from the first time we were forced over here was to have any type of freedom, any type of independence. And so an independent position, one with an independent mind, is considered a threat to this world. And so when your teacher is an independent thinker, independent ex-slave, then the student now has to understand that I'm going to take some of what my teacher is getting if I continue to be a good student.
That's right.
And so just what you're saying, brother, it hurts me because it's a baby. And it's not only the babies, but the fact that we've accepted out of all of the mistreatment we've received in this world, we accept their word as the true gospel. And it's not always, the parents' fault. It's not always their fault. But for those of us who know better, it is, our fault. And I don't know any parent who does not want their child to be better than they were in their heart.
That's right.
And so when we say that we suffer from, we have illnesses and we say that they run in my family. I've said for years, and you and I have talked about it, you agree. I'll tell people quickly, no, your diet is what runs in your family. That is hereditary. Your diet is hereditary. Your diet has affected your body and your DNA and your mind that causes you to produce a chemical change in your own body that you have passed down to your children.
That's right.
So many people don't know, but those who do know. But both of my parents, my father and my mother, both passed away from cancer. And so when I go to the doctor, they ask that, and I hate answering the question because I already know what they're thinking. I already know what they come. Well, we need to run these tests, and we need. No, I get it. I understand. But I intentionally, what I was raised in eating. We lost our brother. I'm going to see if I can get him back on. But I intentionally stayed away from my parents' diet. And because I have no desire to have colon cancer like what my mother passed away from, and my father had lung cancer. He smoked for nearly 50 years. I see you, Doc. I'm gonna bring you back on. Um, and so, pardon me, you all. And so, by taking this book, How to Eat to Live, I automatically, one of the first things that stood out in my mind was what fasting can do. Because I didn't grow up in a house and we were taught, hey, y'all, we fasting this weekend. Though my mother was raised in the Nation of Islam under the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my grandparents were active Muslims in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s in San Diego, California, Los Angeles, California. You back, Doc. I got you back on.
Yes, sir.
But that was not a part of our diet. And so I was committed to not furthering that along in my children. And so I
Right.
tell all of them, when you become an adult, and those of them who are adults, I tell you, you can eat whatever you want to eat. What I do know is that I taught you the best from my best understanding. What I do know is that all of you have read these books. What I do know is that all of you understand fasting, and right now, brother, I believe all of them fast, if I'm not mistaken. But I do know I have two at home with me that fast regularly. I've been eating every 3 days, and you know this already. But every 3 days now since I think I did the math on it. I think it was 2014. That's what it was, August of 2014. Some lady says, Tawana.
So the brand just gave you grief.
But
Trying to set things up for me, bro.
no, please. But I was committed to not having the same health issues that my parents had.
That's right.
And so, cutting out meat for me was something I did early on as a freshman in college. I started with the red meat, then went to the land animals, then went away from the fish, and it was just that journey. But it's been since December 2008 since I've eaten every day. I haven't eaten 2 days in a row since December 2008. And now we're on this
Wow.
5-day fast. We're on day 4 of the 5-day fast. And then I feel so good, brother. I mean, I really do.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of mad at myself for not going 5 days sooner. I feel good.
Yeah.
Just the clarity that I know we get from this. And
Mm-hmm.
so in that, understanding how knowing you when you're dealing with a patient and you understand the struggle that we have here in America, specifically as Black and brown people here in America. You understand the struggle of being miseducated. Um, you understand the struggle of trying to re-educate the miseducated.
That's right.
But
That's right.
you have a struggle that some of us don't have. I'm in the kitchen with it. All I got to do is make it look good and taste good. Okay, they eat it and leave.
Yeah.
But you have to get them to change their thinking about what they've been taught all these years about what good health is. How do you approach, and I'm not asking for the particular case about the baby, the 3-year-old baby, but just in general, how do you approach our people understanding that there are those who accepting information from people who are totally ignoring my teacher and his teacher?
Yeah, that's a profound question, my brother, because that's the aspect of our reality is how do we interact with people in an effective way? And I will go back to just the young sister today. When I sat down with her mother and her grandmother, I just looked at the whole room. I mean, here we are at a wake, so the church is half full of overweight people and sick people. And I said, "Hey, look at this room, y'all." I said, "Every black family that I know of, including mine, had one person in the family." And everybody said, "Man, look at this crazy person. Look at this crazy woman, crazy dude, whatever they want to call it." But they always say crazy. But that's the only one that changed their lifestyle. That's the one that became a vegetarian. That's the one that did something different than everybody else. Why do they not have medical problems like everybody else in the family? And so I use that as an example because there's a class that I took one year about interviewing. And they said, anytime you're going into an interview, the first thing that you do is look at the room of the person you're being interviewed from. And you may see something in their room that you can tie to. And now you're talking to them outside of business, but you're talking to them personally. And so that's the same thing that I do, bro. I always try to find something about that person that I can connect with, because as a black man, when we're talking to a black person, it's easy to connect. We have so many similarities in our families, whether it be negative or positive, but I always try to link into something and then start bringing them into a reality, right? The one thing that I know for sure that every person can connect with is not only these common commercials these days, get that, like you were talking about, I think it was yesterday, where they go on this blah, 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 they talk real fast and using all these big words at the end of what it will do to kill you, what it's doing to murder you. You know what I mean? And then
Yes.
you have a connection that you can make with people. You can say, do you really believe that having a medical problem, that you started getting medications when you were 30 or 40, and now you're watching your grandmother, your aunt, your uncles, they're dying, and you're going down that same pattern? Does that make sense to you? And that's the way I tap into people, bro. And a lot of times I'll just use, I'll quote out how you live. Sometimes my programs are out of how to each live. And the person that is accepting it don't necessarily
Yeah.
know. And that's our wisdom. That's our skill. That's our ability to treat people in the right way, to care and to love and have concern for them, that we're presenting them something that we are for sure that works. And then I'll just leave everybody on that question with this. You're looking at a brother who eats one meal every 3 days and another brother who eats. And I talk about you all the time on my shows. I talk to you about you all the time, brother. Skin doesn't glow and his youthfulness doesn't speak to an activity. I'm convinced that he will not have cancer, even if he was eating the wrong type of foods, which I know Brother Brandon is not. But even with the wrong type of foods, every 3 days, even if he was going to get cancer, it ain't going to happen for 150, 200 years, because it's going to take that long for a meal every 3 days to deteriorate your body. Same with me. I can have this, I can speak the same reality that Brother Brandon does on my mother and my father's side of the family. Everybody is sick. When we have funerals, weddings, graduations, family gatherings, I and maybe one or two other people in my entire family, both sides, probably hundreds of people sometimes at these family reunions, and one, two, or three people are not sick taking medications that are 30 or over. And specifically on my father's side, who come from New Orleans, by the time most of the people in my father's side of the family are in their 30s to 40s, they're already going blind, getting parts of their feet cut off, kidneys already on have gone amok, and now they're on dialysis from diabetes. It is ravaging my families.
Yes,
And
sir.
I continue to work every day. I continue to have on my mind every day to prove to people that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are superior than any book you'll read, any
That's
philosophy, and
that's right.
anything that you've ever tried or ever think of tried, everything you've ever researched. I can promise you, because I've researched, I've tried, and I have studied many, many things, and nothing comes close to How to Eat to Live. So on that note, I would suggest you get the book, read the book, started trying to apply the book. And if there's any help that you need, I have plenty of videos that you can come look at, or you can reach out and we can, let's get those questions answered. Let's get you on the road to having some improvement and not drudging down a life of taking medications and surgeries and procedures and having no hope. Let's change that, people.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I want to say to everyone who's watching, thank you for viewing. Thank you for those who share. Please continue to share it. Just share it, share it, share it. Even if you have to inbox it and share it, we will be putting this up on the YouTube page as well afterwards to Chef B MUH. You'll see that on YouTube, so it will be up. And invite others to come and watch it, because this is very, very serious. When
That's right.
and you go into, scripture, as many of us know, I would say probably the most famous of those who come out of religious texts that I could easily say would be a man that we know or we call Jesus. And there are those who have their different understanding of Jesus, their different images of the case, but all of them claim a love for him. All of them claim that his teaching is a superior teaching. And so if you know that, or if you believe that or accept that, and you know that there are those who are in opposition to his teaching, in all of those religious texts that we read, they show that there are those who are in opposition. Then if you are really following in his footsteps and trying to live the life that he taught, then you too should see people with the same type of spirit as those who are in opposition.
That's right.
And so today, when we look all over the world, there is only one man that I can identify as one who is walking in those footsteps of that Jesus of 2,000 years ago. And I know there's some who disagree. And I'm okay with your disagreement. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm more interested in where we end up together as a family and a people.
That's right.
But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the only man that I know of today who can identify and check off his list every enemy or opposer of the Jesus in both the Bible and the Holy Quran. Then he can check off that list today. And they will show that they represent the same people. I had Student Minister Clarence Muhammad on from Selma, Alabama a few days ago. And brother it was beautiful how he reminded us that though we see the people in scripture in different names, then mostly because of the language that was used to describe them, we can see their activity today. And so the Sadducees and the Pharisees were both considered two Jewish groups. Well, so are we call the Jews and the Zionists. They're both considered Israeli and Jewish groups. And so in that, they had a different position when it came to Jesus. And so now, getting into today, right? On the 4th of July, as we celebrated our 80th year of independence as a nation of Islam. And I want to say to those who are watching and who have never, who didn't know this or didn't understand this, the man that we say, that we call, you'll hear us say, Master Father Muhammad, who was the teacher of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This man, we say, came to North America from the holy city of Mecca. That he came to save Black people in America from the hands of our enemy, who we know today, or we commonly call white folk. He came to save us. He did not say that only those who walk around with the name Muhammad are those that I came to save. He did not say that only those who attend the mosque meeting and stand with Farrakhan are those who I came to save. It was Black people in America first, then others who would be willing to accept the teaching and the re-education of those who are here. So I say to you all, you celebrate that independence as well with us.
not with the boom fireworks and spending money, spending your rent money to have a barbecue for one day. You know, I'm not saying that when you taking a chance on burning down the house you're renting anyway, if you got fireworks. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is celebrate the fact that you even have the thought that you too can be independent in your thinking, that you too can stand and say, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that, which is what the Most High Elijah Muhammad said. Some of you today who claim that you are against the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his teaching agree wholeheartedly that you should have an independent school. Some of you don't know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his followers were arrested for having an independent school in the early
That's right.
1930s in Detroit, Michigan. So I say to you again, celebrate that independence, that man came to make sure you had everything you needed to have. He declared it. He said, you are independent now. You don't have to go back to that life that you were once living unless you choose to. We didn't know we had a choice then. Now you know you have a choice. So you also have a choice of the type of medical treatment that you receive. Some of us say, well, I don't know. You know, I'm going to just go see what the doctor says. And I know we got those friends and family that say, man, all you need to drink is this and you're going to be good. You know, all you do is you just need to fast. Nah, I'm not going to tell you that that's the only thing you need to do. But to change our thinking and the understanding when it comes to our own personal life, when it comes to our babies, and I'm moving into the subject matter from the 4th of July, specifically vaccines. And we've talked about this so many times. And it was their first time hearing it in that spirit that he gave. And so the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said to us, do not take their vaccine. He warned the leaders in Africa, the African nations, do not take their vaccine. Because history shows us what they have done to us, how they have experimented and killed us. And they just look at us as, you know, we're almost like, you know, overweight cargo, man, throw them overboard. They don't make it, throw them overboard. And so now the scientists today, the first people that the CDC and the Gates, Bill and Melinda, and Dr. Fauci included, first group of people that they want to give this experimental drug to for this COVID-19 and the coronavirus are Black people in America. And once again, Black people are divided and sitting saying, well, I ain't taking it. And the others are saying, well, man, there's so many of us because we got issues, man, we should take it. You know, we at risk. We at risk. And we are at risk with our health issues. But how did we get these health issues to us? Who defined them as life-determining health issues for us?
Well, that's actually excellent segue, bro, because, you know, when we are making decisions, the biggest question is, how did you come to that conclusion? What information are you using to come to the conclusion that you are concluding, right? And so just quickly, I just want to show you all a book that we are reading right now as the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday family. We're reading Medical Apartheid. We're reading 6 to 7 pages per day in August and September, and we will be finished with it. Now, the reason why we suggested, well, actually, it was one of the people that come on my show that suggested it, but I thought it was a wonderful idea because it's one of the books that freed me. Being a person who wanted to practice medicine from what God put in my mind, not to pump pills in people and not to cut them open or send them to other specialists who are only going to give them more pills or send them, but to try to help people get to a place where they improved, a place where they could walk out of a medical problem into a new reality. That's what I wanted to do. Quick story. When I was in the sixth grade, my father was a dentist, and he transformed our garage into his dental office. You know, laughing at jokes and things like that. Her face was still swollen, but just that experience. That's what
Doc, we're
propaganda
having
and training.
some issues with the reception. Uh, so
Yes, sir.
some of your feed is coming in pretty bad. Um, so I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's a little bit of it's a little bit hard to make out. Even the picture's not as clear as it was when we first began. So you might have to backtrack a little bit
Okay.
to the dental office in the garage and see if we can make it all out.
Okay. Am I coming in clear now?
Not anymore.
Trump clan country in country, North Carolina. So I don't necessarily have the best signal, but we will try to do the best. My father changed our garage into his dental practice. And long story short, you know, I saw many patients come in, faces swollen up in terrible condition and leave with a smile on their face. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to, for the right reason. And, you know, in this system that we're dealing with, it's very difficult for a person, a lay person, to even understand commercials that come on television, let alone when you go to a doctor's office and they start talking to you in these big words and they don't take time to explain to you. Because what most of you don't know is that across the country, from north to the south, east to west, most doctors have between 5 to 7 minutes per patient. It doesn't make a difference if you have one medical problem or 8 medical problems. They have 5 to 7 minutes to deal with you. And so before you even finish telling them what is going on with you, they're already writing a prescription and getting ready to walk out. You all know that. You're not satisfied with what you are paying for every year, every month, the amount of money that you're spending for these insurance companies or your pocket for doctors. You know you're not satisfied. So at what point are you going to start seeking some different information? And I'm just here to tell you that that's why ability to help change people's lives. And so it was that book, How to Eat to Live. And again, as brother point, it doesn't make a difference whether you believe in one name of a God or another name or one religion or a different. Of what you every single person on here, whether you doubt it or not, I can prove to you that improving your habits, drinking more water and learning how to hydrate yourself, and detoxifying your body improve any situation that you are going through.
Yes, sir.
Is a cure for 90% of our ills, because every person that I've ever worked with that has healed themselves from medical problems, fasting was a major part of their program. So it's proof in the science. You can, you know, find your way through all the fluff, but find some information where you can start making some change in your life. And I just personally, after 25 years of doing what it is that I love, you're going to find any information that is going to serve you better than How to Eat to Live 1 or 2. And so if that is true, then you can put who this man and who these men in proper context. Because there is a scripture that says, all that before were thieves and robbers. The shepherd came to give life and life more abundantly.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a profound statement.
You know, and we're still getting a bad connection, but I think for the most part, you know, it came through for us that we understand that the instruction that we received and the education we received in terms about what health is and the medical field, how we should be treated, how often we should be eating, what we should eat. You know, all of these things did not come from medical science. In fact, we touched on this before about the initial food pyramid that many of us education, but it did not come from the medical field. And in fact, it had been shown
That's
that
right.
it had actually come from the agricultural food for animals. And whatever was left over was determined what we should eat. So there was a lot of grain. Eat grain, you know.
That's right.
There was a lot of corn and rice because most of them eat corn and rice. And so you would see this on the food pyramid, and as you move up, you know, then the meat is there. Fish is going to be there because they didn't control that. You know, they can't control the ocean or the lakes and the rivers. And so, of course, you tell, oh, eat this much fish. Well, you're trying to get people away, you know, from really paying attention. Even as far as, and I've had this debate before, how much water we should drink every day. You know, there are those that say, well, we're supposed to drink 8 full glasses of water a day. Man, you must be out your mind if you think I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water a day. Man, any day. It's not happening.
Right.
My body don't even want it. You know, I would not have time to sit down and do any work drinking 8 glasses of water a day. But we also know that that is for those who are eating 3 meals a day.
That's right.
And the fact of the matter is that if we were eating fresh food, meaning fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables, it supplies water to our body. And I first learned of that in 2006 when I was on a 21-day detox that our brother, Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad, put me on. And in that, I was eating fresh fruits, you know, and I was eating them all day long. I made the mistake one day and drank a bottle of water. And I said, what did I do that for? It was 1 bottle of water. And I kept running to the bathroom all day long. And I couldn't figure out why. Well, it wasn't the water that kept making me urinate. It was the fresh fruits and the vegetables that I was eating that my body extracted the water from and was flushing itself out. And so in the 4-day detox, that I will often take and even help others with, it starts out the first day of eating nothing but fresh fruit. And that fresh fruit will send you to the bathroom. You'll be urinating all day long, not even having to drink water. I only drank the water because I was washing it down. I was thirsty, you know, but my body did not call for it. And so my point is that some of the most basic teachings that we have been given from the medical field our bodies will oppose it when we begin trying to eat to live as taught to us by the Muhammad Ali's book. Okay?
That's right.
Now, in that, he's teaching us how to rid our body of illnesses. There are medications, specifically vaccines, that are being promoted that are supposed to stop us from dying or spreading illnesses, not necessarily dying from the illnesses. I just found this out recently, that the vaccine is not necessarily there to stop the patient from dying from it. That it is often they're given to the patient to stop them from spreading it. And so if
Right.
me spreading it, or if me taking it will still cause me to die from it, then does it really make a difference if I'm the only one? And this question has been asked, and now I'm asking you to answer this for us. If my children who have never been vaccinated are told they cannot go to this school if there's an outbreak of X, Y, and Z because they have not been vaccinated, then does my children are not in danger of passing it on to anyone because they've all been vaccinated? Why would you kick them out of the school?
Yes, sir. And that is a major, I would say, idea that I use when I'm discussing the whole vaccination ideology with those who are pro-vaccination. If you trust the science behind vaccinations, if you trust that the process of producing a vaccine, if you trust the conclusion that a vaccine is supposed to produce, then why would you ever be concerned about a person who's not vaccinated? It makes no sense. It's almost as asinine as saying, I believe my car is going to run better if I put the highest octane booster in it. And then, just for argument's sake, because it's a Ferrari or a Bentley or a Bugatti, I'm going to put some extra octane booster because when I read the manual, it says the highest octane is going to make this car go the fastest. And then you put all of that stuff in your car, the highest octane gas you can find at the best gas station in the city that you live. And then you go put more octane booster in your tank to make sure that that engine runs the best. And then somebody is across from you and they have a car that's not near as powerful as yours. It has no ability to beat your car, and you refuse to race them because I don't know if I'm going to win. It just it makes no sense for an argument to have so much force but no validity because the people who are behind weak. And there has never been any science that has been handed to me since then. And I ask all the time when I get into discussions with people about vaccines, can you show me one study that proves or even just gives some evidence that a vaccine has solved any disease process? Because all the ones that they say were diminished because of vaccines, those are lies. And anybody that's willing to look at what I'm saying, go to my page. I did a
Losing
vaccine
connection.
program just 3.
God, we
Even
lost the.
started giving
Well, we
vaccines for
still
these
have a
problems.
bad connection that's coming through, so we're missing some of this valuable information. Can you please make sure you repeat for everyone where we can find your page at? It's I know it's the Ultimate Wellness Group, but can you make sure that you give them your contact information, your website as well? Let's try to get that over to them now. We'll make sure we add it into the interview as well.
Yes, sir. So it's the Ultimate Wellness Group. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube and IG, TikTok. And there are a couple of black apps as well. Blag Enough, BLAGGENUF. There's Cini, CINI, and one that I haven't had any success with yet, but there's also one called iStar, who they're trying to make some adjustments. I, a small r, and then a capital STAR. Those last 3 are black owned, so let's start supporting them as well. But I did a program on vaccines just a couple of weeks ago where I talked about how all of the communicable diseases in America and Europe were on sharp declines before vaccines for these particular diseases were ever produced. And that's the type of information that is factual. That's actual facts. And so there are no studies that prove vaccines do anything.
Wow.
And when people start discussing with you and arguing with you about vaccines and how safe they are, all you have to do is just bring up the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS. Just look it up yourself. Just put in VAERS in a search engine, and that's going to come up. Pharmaceutical companies have played billions of dollars. I think upwards of 5 billion going into $6 or $7 billion that have been paid out to families whose children have been injured by vaccines. So
Wow.
the vaccine causing problems is proven. It's actual facts. And the unfortunate reality is that you all, as everyday people, are going to doctors that were influenced to vaccinate like I was out of emotions. They took pictures of dead children with measles. They put children that were in these iron, what they call iron lungs. Anyway, long story short, they emotionally charged me to believe in vaccines, never science.
Wow.
And when I started researching and learning on my own, and then honestly listening to parents, especially mothers, talk about how their children were drastically changed after a particular vaccine, I was convinced. There's no way that mothers would just come and lie to me like this. And so that started my digging. That started my reading alternative books. That started me going and doing my research. And I found out that I had been lied to. And I'm here to say that any person, a physician I'm talking about, who promotes vaccines, they've been lied to as well. They just have fallen for it and have never opened up the Pandora's box that will prove them otherwise. Because when you admit that you have been lied to in medical school, you have to start questioning everything,
Yeah.
which I have done. I had to question everything from the first day until the last day. I have to question it. And at the end of the day, it frees you. It opens up your mind and it makes you more effective. And so I'm happy. The road was tough, but the road was worth it. And I pray that all of you are inspired to do some research yourself and start with the VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. And that will give you so much information, you'll have to start wondering, where can I go find out more?
Yes, sir. And we'll get that pinned on the feed as well in the comment section.
Yes, sir.
As well, so everyone can have that and be able to research it. But I want to play this clip, and this is from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan on the 4th of July here. And we can comment on this afterward.
I say to the African president, do not take I say to those of us in America, we need to call a meeting of our skilled virologists, epidemiologists, students of biology and chemistry. And we need to look at not only what they give us, we need to give ourselves something better.
I mean, that is clear as day for us. For those who accept and understand the identity of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, that then we can go a little deeper. And this is where I want you to kind of paint a picture for us. This is the same man who has been called an anti-Semite, like Jesus. This is the same man who has not been accused of lying by his enemies. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Abraham Cooper said on the interview with Nick Cannon that he's one of the most honest people in America. And so, in the same breath, he turned that same anti-Semitic Farrakhan rhetoric. All right.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking with the forked tongue. showing himself as a representation of a serpent in human form. Speak, and your words, one goes in this direction and the other takes you in the opposite. And so how do you expect me to believe anything you say? You say this is one of the most honest people in America, but then you want to turn around and say that what he is saying is incorrect. See, that doesn't match up.
That's right.
You know, in
right.
the food industry, we call an oxymoron, fresh frozen fish. It's either fresh or frozen. Which one is it? And we will fight you up and down and say, that is fresh fish. No, sir. No, ma'am. It may have been fresh when it was frozen. But if it is frozen, it is now in a dead state. And it no longer has the benefits for you in that fresh state. So either he's one of the most honest people in America, or he's not, Rabbi Cooper. So now, in his statement that we must gather our own scientists, our own virologists, our own doctors and scientists to get together to put together the medications that we need to help ourselves. Problem with this is that it speaks to becoming independent. It is something that our former slave masters absolutely refuse to promote for us in independence. Even some of us refuse to promote independence for ourselves, self-independence. What does that look like from the medical aspect as a medical scientist and a follower of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the guidance of the Honorable? What does that look like, bringing together that team? And if you can tell us what it looks like, then what are some of the first products of that group coming together that you look for?
Excellent question, my brother. So I have to say, in agreement with you, that as the minister was saying these words out of his mouth, I am thinking about who I need to call, who I need to text right now to get this started. And that's what was happening. I was texting people, they were texting me, hey, bro, and praise be to Allah, I had already started working with some brothers, and we are planning on purchasing equipment where we can do exactly what the minister said. We can test vaccines, medications, food, any and everything that we need to test. We will be able to test the qualities that are in them, like as far as getting a piece of broccoli off of our land that we grew, and we made sure there's no chemicals in how we raise our food. And we can take that in the laboratory. We can tell you what nutrients are in there, what vitamins are in there. We can tell you how much fiber it has. We can tell you the percentage of vitamins in that piece of broccoli. And so that's what we had been discussing before the minister spoke. And after, he just lit a fuel under us. And so we are already working on that. Just understand that we are already working on coming together as scientists, as physicians, to look at that. But to specifically answer your question, the reality is that we have to go right back to the book that we're discussing, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid out the blueprint. He said that you have to eat the best of foods. And as long as we walk into a grocery store, and I don't care what the name of the grocery store is, you cannot trust a grocery store. You cannot trust when somebody else is growing your food. But what I can trust is if Brandon had a farm, I know what he's going to grow. I know how he's going to treat the animals. I know how he's going to perspective, and he knows mine. So if he's growing food on the East Coast and I'm growing food on the West Coast, the likelihood is that there'll be two different crops. But we can trust trading with each other. But you can't trust Trader Joe's. You can't trust Whole Foods just because they're supposedly better. You can't trust Sprouts. When you go in those stores, you have to do your diligence just like any other store. I don't think there's much good food in Kroger or Walmart or Target or Piggly Wiggly. Why the hell would somebody want to shop at a place like Piggly Wiggly anyway? But I'm really not trying to down anybody, brothers and sisters, but we really do have to start thinking from the perspective of what is in the reason why I call my company the Ultimate Wellness Group. What is the reason Brother Brandon uses the terms that he uses? And so when you go somewhere and somebody says Whole Foods, why did they come up with that name?
Right.
Why did somebody call their store
right.
Piggly Wiggly? Why did somebody call their company Safeway?
That's
Why
right.
did somebody call their company Vons? See, if we don't start really scientifically looking at everything that's going on around us, then we lose the fact that we have an enemy that sucks us into a reality that he's never proven to us. Just like I talked about those vaccines. That's an enemy's perspective to pull you in and suck you in as a young, up and coming physician, and you tantalize my mind and twist me up into your propaganda instead of allowing me to make a decision based on actual facts. And so the key is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, eat the best of foods. And he said, we need to get our own farmland and produce our own food. That's when you'll get the true health that you deserve because you took care of the soil. You took care of the seeds. You planted the seeds in the right germinating environment. And then you didn't put chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides. You didn't use genetically modified crops. And so when I pull that apple off of that tree, or I get that corn off of that stalk, or I pull that bell pepper off of that plant, or I dig up that potato, we shouldn't be eating potatoes only in cold.
Well,
When we do that and we hand you a plate or we hand you a package of food, or you come into our store and you see what's on the shelf, you automatically know that this is going to give you life and life more abundantly. And then last, that we have scientists, Brother Victor Muhammad in particular, who worked with Dr. Alim years ago in DC when they were making so much progress on helping our HIV and AIDS brothers and sisters. Well, today there's a product that is doing the same thing when it comes to helping boost our immune system in this day and time. It's called IB100 or Immune Boost 100. But the point that I'm getting to is that we have wonderful scientists here in
mm, yeah, we got some. The connection was bad. I'll we are having an interruption, but I'll say this as well, brother. The yes, with the connection. But I also want to point this out. Thank everybody again for watching. Continue to share. Um, please don't hesitate. Ask your questions. Get all of the, we'll answer what we can with what we have left, but we can continue to answer questions later. So you can contact either of us at either of our pages. But also, let's keep in mind that when you really understand how valuable this information is, we're not using a platform that is necessarily friendly to us as Black people when it comes to independent thinking. So for it to be interrupted like it is, I'm not this real spooky guy, this conspiracy theorist, but I do understand that the information that you are getting is life-saving information. And it does not behoove some of those who are in control of the major supermarket chains, the pharmaceutical industries, the medical schools, everything that Dr. Keeley is speaking of. And so it would not surprise me if it was intentional. And I know brother is, and he said he's out
in South Carolina in the country. It's not in the city area. But technology, these are the same people who said that they have pictures of Mars, and they say they have a satellite way out in space and they can take a picture of a dime in the middle of the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. Then it's hard for me to believe that we cannot have a live broadcast on these platforms without it being interrupted intentionally. So with that said, we're going to continue to go on, and brother will come back on if push comes to shove. As a matter of fact, if we can actually call brother and get him on audio, so you can still hear him. Can we get the Dr. Akili on the phone, please? And we'll get brother back in. But the point that I want to go a little bit further on is exactly what he's saying. There is a brother Victor Muhammad, is one of those scientists who I really would have to get brother on at some point in time, because what he is I can't even explain what he can explain. I'm gonna just say it like that. His understanding of medicine and is so far beyond anything that I do, okay, or anything that I've studied. And he's speaking from the aspect of actual work, not just talk, not just study, just like Dr. Akili. They actually work in these fields. So when I'm talking about food, when you all are asking me about recipes and things, because that's the work I do. But I'll do my best to help facilitate any question you have and at least direct you to someone else. Do we have him on the phone? Okay. We'll be getting Doc on the phone in just a minute. We do have a question. What about the African sister who's a doctor claiming that hydroxychloroquine cures COVID-19? Can you clear that up? And what is hydroxychloroquine used for? Okay, that's a very good question. Because do we have him on? Let's make sure he's on. But the sister who was a doctor, she said she studied medicine in Nigeria, and she, even after that it had come out, some of us, there were some black people who were saying, well, I don't know, I don't trust the source of that article. Some said, well, she's a quack. Some even went as far as to say, well, she's a preacher. And when I'm very simple in terms of looking at strategy, if we can take it to a card game of spades. If I got my partner playing with me and me and my partner are trying to win, anything that the opposition is saying, the other two players are trying to get my partner to play a card, anything they say, even if it sounds like it's in my team's favor, I'm going to warn my partner, and we'll say, hey, don't talk across the board. I don't want to hear that, because now you're cheating, right? What we saw, our sister comes out and then somebody else comes back and says, well, I don't trust the news source. So you talking across the board. And so now you're trying to cheat me out of winning. And there were 3 medications. Yes, thank you. There were 3 medications that she did mention that she had been using. Are we able to get him on the phone? Okay, we weren't able to get him on. But we'll continue to try. We'll keep trying. To get him on the phone. But my point is that, you have to come and defeat what she says. Don't just tell me that is fake news. First of all, the people who were first commenting saying it's fake news, hell, you're not even doctors. You're not scientists in the medical field. So to come and say it's fake news, you telling me either you just don't believe it, or you're giving me information from somewhere else, from somebody else. When we do research, and this is something that we've learned, especially those who have been, in college classes and so forth, master's and doctoral programs. There's 2 types of research. You got independent, and then you got secondary research. Independent is what you went and did on your own. Secondary, you just quoting somebody else. Don't give me the quote from somebody else and tell me that what the sister said is not valid and not any good. I won't attempt to answer that, but I will say that I did find it very interesting that some of our own black people with illnesses who are taking medication were some of the first ones to try and negate what she said. And so we have him on the phone. Dr. Akili, you there? Not yet. Not yet. Okay. But we'll continue to try to get brother on the call. And so, but I will say that I have heard that before about the 3 medications, and one of them, the hydroxychloroquine. Early on, my wife and I were watching the news back in, I believe it was March or April, and this came up on the news segment, and there was a patient that it was used with, along with zinc, and I can't recall the other medication that she referred to, but it was said that these were for heart patients and heart, with those with heart diseases and so forth. And so, yeah, Doc, we're gonna have you right back on. And so, she even mentioned that. She said, "Stop telling me that people with the heart disease and that it's for heart patients, or it causes and something that could be fatal for heart patients." And so she was basically, her stance was, we have something that is working, and she was putting her own reputation on the line for it. So, Doc, the question was about hydroxychloroquine and the sister who was from Nigeria, who had a video that went viral about the medication and the zinc, and there was one other that she mentioned. What can you give us your feedback or your point of view on that?
Yeah, so somebody asked me about that, and I said there are about 8 or 9 to 15 different questions that come to my mind immediately after hearing that. The first one is, when have I, in my medical experience, ever seen any white folks stand behind a black woman or a black man?
I said same thing.
And let them be the expert. I've never seen that.
I said same thing.
Especially not a person from another country.
Right.
The second thing is, right, she's talking about the scientists that have no merit. And it sounded to me like she was talking about Fauci and other people that are so-called experts. So I agree with her there. But, that again is a fight that we as black people have to come away from, because we know there's Satan casting out Satan. We don't need to be in the middle of a war between people that are having their problems that ain't got nothing to do with us.
That's right.
The third thing is that when she talked about how many patients that she has seen, she said something about 300 or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. As many people in America that have been infected with the coronavirus, that's not a big number.
Right. That's right.
I know people.
That's right.
That work in hospitals and urgent care centers and emergency centers around here, and they were seeing 300 to 600 patients with coronavirus within a couple of weeks. So they're just, just a lot of things that when I listen to her speak, they bring a lot of questions. And so I don't have anything to say about it scientifically, because I don't have any proof that what she said was legitimate or not legitimate. So I'm not saying anything about her one way or the other. But what I will say is this: we have to be very careful with the information that we put our all into, because there is a war going on for the people's minds right now.
Yes, sir.
And if you all are paying very close attention, not only has there been an attack on all our brothers and sisters that have given any type of, what should I say, support to Minister Farrakhan in any type of way. They're being attacked if they're in entertainment or any type of sports or anything like that. But there also is so much information from other aspects that are trying to cause confusion in people. People had gone away from this idea probably about 2 months ago on everything that she brought up. And personally, all the doctors that I know across the country aren't using these treatments. if it is something that helps people, it seems to me like it would have spread more on those that are in the hospitals and those who are working in emergent and urgent care centers. And so again, you know, from my perspective, in number one, knowing all of those treatments, number two, knowing that there are plenty of attempts to get people to communicate all over this country and doctors all over the world trying to say, hey, this is what's working for us. This is what's working for us. If it's working that well, it doesn't seem to me like it would have taken to come outside and do a press conference for whoever she was trying to reach. But it should be a press conference amongst physicians, a press conference on all the different platforms that physicians exchange information on. So there were just so many things that make me question the whole thing from an inception. But then there are many other things that make me question it from a person who has many, many years of experience in his healthcare field. There was just a lot of red flags. So that's about all I can say about that.
Yes, sir. And if we remember, on July 4th, 2020, at the Garden, the Honorable Farrakhan, he did state that he said we have 14, he didn't use the terminology remedies. I don't want to misquote him, but there were 14
therapies.
Sir?
14 therapies.
Therapies, yes, sir. Thank you. There were 14 therapies that can be used to help fight this off. And so,
yes.
So this gets back to our whole subject matter for the day. You have a group of people saying this man is the most honest, one of the most honest people in America. And the same people who want to accuse him of not even a spiritual crime, if you will, but just their own personal understanding and their own personal agenda of calling him these names, the bigot, the racist, the anti-Semitic, all the stuff we've heard, the homophobe, we've heard all of that. And you've heard him say, we've seen him in photographs, video footage. He's gone public about Jewish leadership whom he's met with and
yes.
their conversations, and they've gone public and said he's not an anti-Semite. You've heard him say, I'm not a homophobe. I have it in my family. I'm not a racist. I have white people in my family. We all do.
Yes. That's right.
How can you be that? I'm not an anti-Semite because I know what a Semite is. A Semite is just not someone that speaks Yiddish. They're not just someone that speaks Hebrew. They're not just someone that loves the Torah. You know,
that's right.
They're
that's
not
right.
just simply an Ashkenazi Jew.
Right.
But a Semite is one who comes from the region. And so our ancestry are Semites. So if I have the blood of my ancestors who come from that region, then I too am a Semite. I don't speak the Semitic language anymore because there was someone who took that from me. But if my ancestry is there and I have the DNA, then I too am a Semite. Can I be a Semite and be anti-Semitic? Yes, if I hate myself and all black people, of course. But he does not. Okay? He doesn't hate black people. He doesn't hate Jewish people. He doesn't hate Arab people. He doesn't hate Semitic people, period. But these are the same groups of people who don't want you to listen to him.
That's right.
Our brother Nick Cannon, the question had been asked over and over, well, what did Nick say? He said Farrakhan. That's what it was.
That's right.
Did he use his platform? Man, that ought to be so exemplary for us.
Come on now.
That he would use his platform to broadcast that lecture, and that should tell you out of everything you think about Diddy, in his heart, you know, if we say that heart that we saw about a man who said, I'm going to show my brother, and I know that they don't like this. I know people I work with have business dealings, don't like this, but I'm going to air it on my station.
That's right.
That said to his brother, Nick, if they get rid of you, come over here.
That's
we
right.
got our own.
That's right.
Out of everything that we might want to say about the brother's past history, what we can say was that it looks like he's brave enough to love his brother, that there's a group of people who do not want him to love.
That's right.
Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Paul Robeson. I mean, they were all accused of being anti-Semitic, and we covered this on. It was yesterday. One of the Israeli scholars who said that that's a trick that we play. That if
That's
you're over
right.
in Europe, we bring up the war, and you talking about us, you criticize Israel, we start talking about the war and the Holocaust. If you
Yep.
criticize us in America, then we use anti-Semite. She said
That's
herself,
right.
that's a trick we
That's right.
use. And so my, I get a little frustrated with it sometimes. It's like, damn, how many times you got to be tricked? There's an old saying, say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
That's right.
You fool me 3, 4, 5 times, I'm just a damn fool. And it's like, man, stop it. So there is now, and I've heard him talk about this as well, because this is a question I got earlier today. We're running out of time. We actually out of time. Well, that's me and you, brother.
Yes, sir.
But it was a question surrounding CBD, tea, and detoxing. And this has been something that has been big, especially in terms of business, because we want to invest in things that are healthy. We want to invest in business. We want to be independent. You got more of us that really just want to be independent of, the government stamp of approval of something. And
Right.
so give us your take, your understanding on CBD, a CBD detox. And the particular question that was brought up in the conversation was about if there may be a connection to a dehydration and heart flutters from the use of a CBD detox tea or product.
Well, I wouldn't be able to talk to anything specific about a CBD detox program because I don't suggest CBD detox programs. Does CBD have some benefit in the human body? Absolutely. But I will say this to everybody that's listening. I've been practicing medicine for 25 years. And until IB 100 came out, and I shouldn't say since it came out, until I became a distributor of it about 2.5, 3 years ago, I not 25 years. $1 million offers put on my table. People offered me money to put my name on products, on vitamin lines and other supplement lines. And I refused to do it because when I looked into the company and did my own research, I couldn't trust them because of some of the things that they had in their product line. And so I've never gotten myself involved, nor have I promoted any products that I can't have the confidence that in the next 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, and 150 years, I can't look back and say, I know that that product didn't cause anybody any problems. I don't want to be affiliated with things like the FDA and the CDC and this government when they've allowed drugs to come into society like Vioxx that they knew for sure cause heart attacks. They knew it in their studies, but because they could make millions and billions of dollars, they put it on the market anyway. I will never be associated. You will not know Brother Akili, Dr. Akili Muhammad, associated with something with his knowledge, and he put money over your benefit. And so I'm saying that because those of you who are interested in CBD products or getting into the CBD field, I will warn you, you need to be very careful because based on my research, upwards of 80% of the CBD products out here on the market are being made from genetically modified and chemicalized marijuana. And so the same way that you can't trust vaccines, the same way that you can't trust these coronavirus tests, the same way you can't trust the medications that are being purported on the television every day, you cannot trust CBD products. I am an astute scientist. I am an astute studier. I studied in school, and I continue to study. And I am here to tell you that it is extremely difficult to find out which CBD products are even legitimate. And then to take it a step further to find out which ones are being raised and which products are coming from pure plants and that have the honest and true benefit that Allah put in those plants. You all more than likely don't have the scientific background, to be able to do that. And so if you aren't careful, you will get yourself involved in a lot of the things that Brother Wesley has been teaching us for the last few years about marijuana.
That's right.
Think about this, brothers and sisters. Think about this, please. Because this is the way I think every time somebody comes and says, Brother Keely, what do you think about such such? Brother Keely, will you support such such? If you can't be sure that if you start promoting CBD detoxes and CBD this and CBD that, and then 5 years down the road, 10 years, 20, 30 years down the road, that you can look back and say, I know that liver detox didn't cause that person to get liver cancer. That liver detox didn't cause that person to get skin cancer. That liver detox didn't cause that person to get bone cancer. I'm telling you all what the realities are. And if you don't want to get yourself conflicted in that type of dichotomy, I would say, you might want to slow your roll a little bit jumping in these CBD companies, because there's no question in my mind that the majority of the CBD companies out here are selling products that are going to cause major problems in people in the not too distant future. And the problem is that those that are culprits are going to remove their hands like they didn't know, or remove their hands like they didn't have anything to do with it. And I would warn you all that that's not a place you want to be. Quick story. As a resident, in my 3rd year, I was very confident that I had learned enough medicine to go out and practice medicine on my own. And I had a patient that wanted me to make sure he didn't die in the hospital. So I knew he knew, his family knew that he was going to die. And I believe that I did everything that I could to keep that man's word. And by the way, he was a white man. So anybody that thinks that we as members of the Nation of Islam are racist, it's just a lie. My white patients love me just as much as my black patients.
Right, come on.
And so my point is this, that I knew he was going to die. And he asked me, Dr. Graham, please don't let me die in this hospital. And I said, I'm going to do everything to make sure that you go home with your family this weekend. I was in the hospital on a Friday. I had been on duty for more than 160 hours that week. I needed some rest. I needed some sleep. So I did everything that I could to get that man home. And when I got back to the hospital on Monday morning, he was still in that hospital bed. And I went off. You talk about going off in the hospital. I think that's the only time I ever went off that bad, because I gave that man my word. I gave his family a promise. And somebody, because I forgot to sign on one line, kept that man in the hospital. And so when I got there on Monday morning, he was in extreme pain. And I made a mistake. And I wrote the wrong prescription. And that man died in that hospital. I will forever have to live with that stain on my mind. Was he going to die? Yes. But if I took him 5 minutes or 1 minute or 30 damn seconds before his family could have had that much more time with him, I'm forever going to have to live with that on my heart, my mind, and my soul. But God doesn't put anything on me that I'm not capable of handling. But I'm using that as a warning to everybody that's listening. If you get yourself involved with some of these products, you are going to have a day where you're going to regret it, and you'll never be able to get it off your mind. So please take that as a warning.
Yes, sir. Well, brother, thank you so much. Man, thank you, brother. That's I love you. That's all I can tell you
Yes,
is
sir.
thank you, brother.
Hey, brother, I appreciate the platform, man, and I apologize to you and all of the listeners for the lack of having a clear signal. There's really not much I can do about it, but I wish that things were better, because these are too serious conversations and too serious times for us not to do the best we can to come in clear. I did my best, but my best just wasn't good enough today, so I apologize for the lack of clarity.
Well, I have to say you did keep your word, because when we talked earlier in the day, we had agreed that if the video didn't work out, we'd get you on the phone, brother, and you made
Yes, sir.
yourself available. You did everything that you said you would do. So I thank Allah for you for that.
Yes, sir.
And it wouldn't be the same if you weren't on. I promise you that much.
Praise be to Allah. And I love you too, my brother. I really do. And I'm truly grateful of your example. I will say this to all your listeners and anybody else that's on. Brother Brandon is my inspiration.
Wow.
If he can do 1 meal every 3 days, I can. And if I can do 1 meal every other day, all of you can. And if there's anybody on this call that's doing 1 meal every day, well, you know the benefits that it's had in your body. You know the benefits it's had on your mind. And so let's all keep striving. Let's all keep using each other for exactly what Allah is using us for, is to galvanize ourselves as a community and to produce a new world where there'll be no limitations and there will be no evil, and there will all centuries and generations is about to be removed and a new world is coming in. So thank you very much for being able to have a platform to share.
Oh, brother, all praises due to Allah. And
Yes, sir.
if, in fact, brother, anything in all of, and I say this to you and everyone, in all of my imperfections, brother, if anything that I do or feel the spirit or need to do inspires you, I always pray that it is in accord with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And
That's right.
so the eating every 3 days and the fasting and preparing our own meals, and it most certainly is, because I decided at a very young age, 19 years old, brother, that what I wanted to do was I wanted to prove the Honorable Elijah Muhammad 100% correct. And
That's right.
so I couldn't find any other person other than myself to try it on. And
That's right.
that's what I've been doing. And I pray Allah I get even better than what I am, and that others are inspired to just pick up this book and read it.
That's right.
Again, store.finalcall.com. Store.finalcall.com. It's a How to Eat to Live. There's books 1 and 2. You'll find all of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's books there. There's a Message to the Black Man in America that's there, as well as The Fall of America. And as a chef who spent thinking about food in the culinary field, I highly recommend that you do get The Fall of America. This book tells us, it gets us into the proper mindset so that as this country comes up under more and more strife and pain, you and I will know what it is we have to do to survive it. And part of that is having the right foods prepared the right ways and stored the right ways. So get this book. It is a third grader can understand this. Listen to what I'm telling you.
That's right.
The
That's
Fall
right.
of America. It is not anti-government. It is not anti-American. It is not anti. If anything, it is pro-American. And it is
right.
a guide to help save us in spite of the errors that the American government and politicians may make. So go grab that book. Grab them all. Store.finalcall.com. Visit the Facebook page, the Ultimate Wellness page for Dr. Akili. He has, God, you got dozens of videos on there. Subject matter.
Yes, sir.
Go check it out.
Yes, sir.
The fasting, the vaccines, the COVID-19, just your basic health. He even has some videos on gardening as well. Go on there and check out the Ultimate Wellness Group on his Facebook page. You can always find me, Chef Brandon J. Muhammad, on my Facebook page, on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Chef BMUH. You can find me there. Also on the Facebook. I don't even mind if you hit my personal page. It's perfectly fine, which is why I use it. Because many of the people that I deal with, I'm personal with anyway. Also, we want to thank support for also on Facebook page. It's called Built Different Fitness. Built Different Fitness. Go on Facebook and look it up. It's fitness wear for those of us who are built different. You know, you may not be as small as you want to be. You may not be as buff as you want to be. You know, your clothes might fit a little tighter, and that's just because you built different. So go on Built Different
That's right.
Fitness and check out the line on there, and order you something as well. As a matter of fact, I wish I had some of the products that we've ordered uh, as well, so I could show you. But maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we back. Day 5 is tomorrow. Day 5, and we got a surprise for you tomorrow. So tune in. Just man, please don't miss it. It's 6 to 7:30. It'll be our final day of the fast. Um, if you haven't been fasting, do it tonight anyway. Just jump in there with me, and as long as your health permits you to, jump on in there with us. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget, submit your questions. Any other questions you have for us, hit us up. Love you all. Once again, we out. Hands off. Friends, family, and Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks a lot.